else is going on in the world? Well, incredibly, not much. Because as you can see, if you watched the very network yesterday, the Princess Di story continues to lead apparently, which to me means there's not a hell of a lot going on. In the Di story, they are now preparing to consider charging the hotel at which the driver did his apparent drinking 3 times legal limit, I guess. They're going to charge the hotel. Now, only in Paris, I suppose, only in Paris would such a thing occur, or a socialized country someplace. Maybe kind of like this place these days. I mean, we are getting ready to sue gun manufacturers for the actions of those who own them, aren't we? So it's not so far out of line, even though it kind of feels that way. The Army is battling, or continues to battle, sexual harassment from a PR point of view. They're now saying that sexual harassment in the armed services crosses all lines, gender lines, rank lines, every line. It's going on all over the place. And what else is new? I think women ought to be in the military. I've always wondered about that. In some jobs, yes, but in large numbers, I've always thought it was a mistake. And I continue to think so. They're talking about adding another week to godforsaken basic training. I had mine down in Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio in the middle of the summer. Anyway, they're talking about adding another week to listen a week and essentially giving people a sensitivity training week. They showed us, when I was in the Air Force, films, horrible films depicting what could occur to one where one could contract some horrible social disease. Things that approximated the films they showed us about what would occur if there was a nuclear war. It was horrible. So now I guess we are going to get a sensitivity training week in basic training. I'm sure glad I'm in and already out. Thank you very much. Last night, you may recall, I told you, we're trying to get an update from Dannion Brinkley. Let me take a quick break and see if I can get this handled, because I asked Dannion if he would like to do an update tonight. He said he would. Dannion, is this perchance you?
Hi, Art Bill.
Oh, hi, Dannion. How are you doing? I'm so glad to hear from you. I thought, the show got started, my phone lines are ringing, you'd never make it through, and so I managed to get a line for you. That's great.
Listen, great man.
Thank you. Tell if you are up to it, Dannion. Tell everybody what happened to you, when it happened, and what's happened since. What happened to you?
Well, I was dealing with a hospice patient heart, and I'm a person that has to have, I don't like to tell my whole medical life, but I have to take anticoagulants because I have a heart valve, and I have to take tetrastaph infections, and I have to watch out for all these things that can kill me. And by the regulations, since the medicine I take is the anticoagulant, it's like Coumadin, which is the same basic ingredient of Deton.
Rat poison.
Yeah, and I take enormous amounts of it, and if it gets slightest thing can be regulated, in the course of running, like everybody who does out in everyday life, I just don't like people dying alone. And I work so hard to try to piece that together, and I stay so driven at it. And I got my levels down low, and I called the doctor. We stepped them up, and I didn't get a chance to take the test so that I could watch it on a regular thing. It's just, I've lived with this for 8 years since the heart valve, and I've never missed this the head. But it came the holidays. I got another veteran, and he was at that place, so I had to be there. And I was tired, and then I got right back up, and I popped a blood test.
So what happened? What happened is you got your regimen sort of out of order.
Yeah, it went from the place where I go up. When we talked the last time when we were on the phone, it just dropped up like in the 12s, the 13s, which means my heart valve clogs, and I'm dead. My body coagulated with blood. Then when I got to adjust it, and it was adjusted way too high, and it went to 40 really except that I couldn't stand up and I started blacking out. I never had since I've had those kind of pains in the headaches and stuff. And the doctor used to come to her house 45. I mean, right there. Getting by the time I got to the emergency room. I didn't know where it was. I was drinking in that place, and I started bleeding in my brain. And
they had 3 aneurysms, didn't they?
yeah,
3 areas where you
well,
were.
it had the three, one too big, one too small, and one large. It just started pouring blood into my brain. The pressure started to where I lost the limb on the left side. And they got me here, and they started to work on it. I mean, brain review and all that kind of stuff. They were looking to see because of so much pills and so much anticoagulant that the stuff was pouring out of my brain, and they had to crack my skull through my skull and go in and try to stop them, but they couldn't do that because it would create 15 to 20 more clots when they closed that up, which would have to pass through the heart valve. And then they started looking at what would rescind and how they were going to drill holes in my skull, and then worry about how to break the clots up moving through my heart so it didn't damage the heart valve.
Well, I remember you're saying when things were really rough that they wanted to drill holes in your head and they wanted to open up your chest so that when the clot passed, they would have immediate access to your heart. In other words, they'd already have you opened up.
Yeah.
And you said,
it's not like the old days when they cut your chest wide open. In the old days, they split me from my neck all the way down to my stomach, and they spread it open. They have, it's not like 4-inch stuff. You know, it's not like, it's tough. But I learned a lot about medicine in 8 years. When we finished it, so they were going to have to do that and then watch it. You have to thin the blood for surgery. I can't have blood that coagulates, which would keep me alive, because that would clog my heart valve and my heart would stop. And that's just the place where I was.
And you told them no. You said, no, you're not going to open up my chest.
Absolutely not. Are they crazy? I figured that if I could stop the bleeding internally, if I could get inside of myself, I've done it before, I live here. We are spiritual beings, and the pain was so great, I had to get in myself. So they got me in intensive care. You know, literally the two chemistry is one thing, Mark. The true nature of us is a spiritual being that draws deep down inside of ourselves, alone and within, that we have the potential to do it. It was so remarkable for me. The moment people started hearing it, I was struggling, man. I was drifting in those worlds. You know, I live in those 3 worlds like I write about in those my books, and I live there. And this is who I am. It's a piece that given to me as I lie here, and I'm looking at the ceiling. Suspended acoustical ceiling, you know, in a room, in a hospital, like 8 years ago. I looked at the ceiling before open heart surgery. I've been looking at this ceiling for brain surgery or heart attacks or strokes for 4 days in enormous pain, covered in a bruise, not knowing where I am, pumping these chemicals through me.
I asked you, Danny, remember I asked you, you said you were bruising, and I said, you got bruises all over? And you said, no, I am a bruise.
Well, I'm a bruise. It's unbelievable. I am purple. I mean, I'm a bruise because of the stuff that you go through, Mark.
You got 4 IVs in you right now? 4 IVs right now. And you're on the phone. Oh, tell me, did it bring back memories, Danny, lying there looking at the ceiling again?
All right, try this one, Art. This is September. It was a thunderstorm this morning when I woke up. For the first time, I'm off the list. I'm looking at the ceiling again like I did before. September 17th at 7:05 p.m. 1975, I got struck by lightning and I woke to a thunderstorm this morning. Just a few days from now will be 22 years. 22 years ago. Now I've been through struck by lightning in 1975 and struck by lightning in 1978. I've been through dealing with being paralyzed and getting up over that and struggling through 2 years of learning to walk and feed myself and so much madness and struggling and then trying to fulfill a vision and staying so driven. It's amazing what you see when you sit here and so driven. And then to look at how much I've gone through, and then here I come, September, and I'm almost right there again. Like they never let me get over the fact that sometimes I might try to forget that this is what's really happening to me in my life.
Did you think that you were going to live through this one, or were there moments?
They had moments. I didn't have them.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you.
Yeah, the doctors had them. And I was hurting so bad, sometimes I didn't really care. But I was staying. We are living in the greatest times ever.
So, Daniel, the late news on you is all 3 of the aneurysms stopped bleeding. There are clots, but they're beginning to dissolve now, right?
Well, 2 of them are, and then there's one that they have to worry about.
You still can't sit up or stand up, can you?
I can't walk too far. You know, and they pump so much blood thinner through me, and they're trying to balance the chemistry in me, because if they don't balance the chemistry, something can happen, and the clot can move, and if the clot moves, and it all starts again. And the pain was always in my head. But here was the key. I was laying in that intensive care and people dying around me. I'm thinking of who I am again. Here I am, not the guy that's the hospice volunteer.
But one of the
guy
guys.
that's the hospice volunteer, the guy that's out talking and lecturing. I'm the guy that I'm out there for.
Yeah.
I'm healing. I'm looking at an acoustical ceiling.
Well, you were in there with a lot of people at first, and I remember you said you had to get out of there because I'm just laying it out for the audience. I remember you telling me there were people dying all around me, and I couldn't concentrate.
Oh, all right. It's amazing what's happening to me as I begin to be the perceptions about things. But in my life, I always deal with my stuff inside because I heal from the inside out. Like everybody, we're spiritual.
So you heal yourself, and under those conditions, I take it you couldn't do that.
They got me there. My head's splitting open. I can't hardly think. I can't think, and I can't put myself in an order. I just have to try to get away from the pain and determine what's wrong with me. And the emergency room wasn't so bad. There were just a couple of things. So they moved me to intensive care right in front of the ward because we were really bad trouble. And so a little 20-year-old girl, asthma, her lungs are collapsed. They're ventilating, they're popping her open. A lady with kids was right next there. They were hollering and they're rushing it down. I can't get inside because I'm feeling those emotions and I'm picking up all those psychologies that my mind normally picks up because I deal with hospice and these kinds of situations that happening to me too.
You had to get inward, and all that noise and all of those feelings that you were absorbing around you.
Those sounds that people make when you're thinking without knowing we are spiritual. This is what I gave the most out of art. In this world of where medicine is, instead of living through chemistry, because chemistry's helped me, it's helped me right here. I'm seeing it again, how terrified people are because they forget how spiritual we are, how interconnected that we are, how truly loving and close every single one of us are. Now I know, if I didn't know you went on the air and told people to think about me and to send you love and to send prayers or thoughts or whatever that they would want to do, I'm kind of family people.
I did, Daniel, because I believe in the power of prayer.
Listen to me. If you were lying right now, if you were trying to tell me that you did not do it, I would know you were a liar. Because through that phone and through this place, officer, I began to be bathed in a love of energy. It could only be somebody loving me, not somebody concerned with my health. Somebody loving me to take the time to moment from their job or from what they were doing. And I'm in here hurting and think about whatever they knew about me, whatever they knew about me, care about me. The room filled with blue hue. And I'm not, I'm not on drugs or anything. I live in this world and I see that I'm bathing and I'm watching it. I see myself starting to break and come out of it. Where I see no surgery, we're not going to let me fight it, let me fight it, let me fight it. I would do things to play, I listen to music 8 hours a day. I developed Stephen Halpern and the healing tapes and guided imagery tapes, and I still deep inside myself. And I kept pulling that up.
I talked to your cousin who took you to the hospital. He said you began that process. He said, as a matter of fact, Daniel hardly said 2 words to me all the way to the hospital. He started going. He started going into himself at that point before you even got to the doctor. Is that right?
Yeah, but when I learned for 22 years of your experience, when I learned and I looked at the vision that I had, I never ever put it into the true context where everybody else was out there just like me, and that we're close together and that people who do this radiation with the whole world together, and I put attention to each other. I'm really convinced within this framework of our mental and physical dynamics, this spiritual dynamic, and it's very observant. I go inside. I know where the spiritual place is. I built the center for why I haven't done it. Why I built the center, why I write the books, why I work on it, why I did it.
All right, I want to talk to you about the spiritual side, where spiritual beings inside physical bodies. Daniel, hold on, we're at the bottom of the hour. Can you hold tight?
Sure.
All right, hang tight, we'll take for Daniel. How you doing, Daniel? Still there?
Doing pretty good, Art. I'd like to tell everybody else that this is really good therapy for me.
Being on the air?
Well, I've been in this bed a long time. Been through a lot of stuff, like learning about what other people are still going back through, and thinking about how much they have helped me and how much the whole point of what we're all about as friends and part of the people and what the Art Bell Show is about and the people of the night is that we love each other, we care about each other. They can feel love to me, and then I can lay in this room and I can feel it now. I can lay in this room, covered in bruises, coming out of it, and I can feel that love now. And when people were sending me all that love, Art, people like Larry Dawsey, who wrote the book on prayer, I was able to listen because I read and think about prayer, to take those prayers and that love and those thoughts that were being sent to me and convert it to me as a useful product.
Can I ask you a question about prayer?
Sure.
I wonder about prayer a lot. There is no question in my mind. Prayer works for yourself, for others. Prayer works, but I'm not sure why. And it's funny, Daniel, when you were at the war, CNN was running a thing about prayer, the power of prayer. And they had a doctor on, and he said, 70 to 90%, somewhere in there, of people who take placebos will declare there to be an improvement in whatever condition they took them for.
And 45% of the children actually
An improvement in whatever condition. Red Donald does, that's exactly what he said. So I don't know if it's God, but I know it works. This was about
I can't sleep. I get a full spectrum of my inside. I make sure that the people close to me have me enough trace minerals that I can take and supplement. I get celery, I get pears, I get prunes, and I get I'll get one or two other things like a fruit, a papaya that has a strong a lot of potassium. That's how I eat. I drink water. You come to a hospital, everybody eats the same meals, they do the same stuff.
Yep.
I'm not doing that. This is a place that should be hallowed, a place to come to heal, and a sanctuary. It's just better living through chemistry and maintenance.
So you've got people slipping food in for you.
Well, I bring my stuff with me.
That's what I mean.
In the bag. I've been here before, and I know what this body must have certain things in it full. It must have its trace minerals. It must have this. And nutrition is not part of this.
What do your doctors say? I mean, here you refused a lot of the treatment. They said what are they saying? How are they accounting for the way you're healing?
My cardiologist, which has been with me 8 years, who's an army doctor, it's really cool. He leaves me alone because he told me, he said, you know, you should have been dead years ago. He leaves me alone because he knows I can go inward. Because once you've been dead already, you know you don't die. This is all about what prayer is. When you know you don't die, then what do you do and what lives on? We have the energy fields of bodies around us. I swear this to everybody listening. This is not a story. This is what we really have. The energy fields around us. By going through being dead, I've seen them. When you're in trouble in your physical self, you have to work in those energy fields. You must get to those energy fields to work.
How do you do that?
Well, you do it through a discipline, the foods that you, the supplements that you're just talking about, really taking a good look at your spiritual self, finding practical spirituality and practicing things like meditating. I'm listening to music 8 hours a day. Inner psychic music with my earplug. I never not take my earplugs out, and I bear the pain, and I focus in my body to heal. I change my blood pressure in here. If I need the blood pressure to a certain place, the nurses, they act funny, but my cardiologist he's just been with me for so long, and he knows that I use alternatives, and I use compatible medicines, and I use energy medicines and Qigong.
Does he agree with you? I mean, does he understand? He's seen it enough so he knows it works now, and he doesn't shake his finger at you.
All of them do that, but I'm still here. What are you supposed to say?
Yeah.
I'm here. And, you know, they don't have the good chemistries where medicine is today. I've learned this. They are dealing with bicarbs. They're dealing with blood gases. They're dealing with tumors. Doctors, and I have two really good ones, the neurosurgeon and the neurologist and the cardiologist, all three of them, because it's so complicated. They are chemists. We must put the art of healing back into this system. This is what's missing from it, and prayer comes into play. Prayer works. Prayer is not some religious point factor.
Yeah, this doctor on CNN, Daniel, what he said was, the key word seems to be faith, whether it's faith in a placebo or faith in God or faith in your spiritual self, whatever it is, the key word he said is faith. If you have faith, you can cure yourself.
He's wrong.
How would you say?
The love of yourself. Both of those people are on your show, and everybody from the bottom of my heart, from my soul. Every moment that you took from your jobs and you placed and you thought about me, I felt it.
So it's as real as anything in the world. It's not a placebo, it's real.
It's more real than anything in this world. It's not faith, it's love. The love of ourselves and the love of someone else, to give to someone else. Faith, having faith is a belief system in something. I do not have to believe. I do not have to have faith. This night, as I leave this room, knowing I'm going to get up and I'm going to make it again. I'm going to come back caring more and loving more about people, helping more, and people facing these issues that I am going to want to begin looking at the ceiling. When you go before surgery and you're looking at the ceiling or hospital, what you're looking at is the acoustical ceiling. So that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's your life. You don't understand the ceiling.
Well, I haven't looked at one of these in a long time.
Yeah, I remember, I think I told you, Daddy, 30 days on my back because of my back. And I looked at every little tiny, these big lighters, Daddy, and lay on my back. That was my only exercise. I'd throw a big lighter up and see if I could just knock one of those little curly things off. Yeah, really stupid. You start doing dumb stuff like that. You're right, you go inside yourself.
We have people lying in different places in the stroke wards going now. We have people lying in a stroke, waiting to have surgery.
Or a stroke.
And they don't have a spiritual place. They don't have it. We don't have a place where we've included within the framework of the new ways of medicine and what's going on. That spiritual place. That's what I've learned. I'm out here not afraid. I just heard. And I'm not afraid. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm staying inward. I'm training. I'm looking. I'm watching. No one's ever taught it to them. And you can bet that the love that was sent to me came to people around me. I watched the nurses who came into this room. I watched the people and how they reacted because they see and feel the kind of love that's in here. Love works. The power works. They're spiritual beings. They have the ability to change and alter so much stuff. And I never thought I'd ever see the day that I would want to stay here on this side as opposed to return to the other side. So I'll tell you something. I wouldn't miss the next 5 or 6 years of what's going to happen in quick communities and things for anything. We have to look at if we were able to do this for one another, like you've done for me, and that spiritual place that we are, that now everybody, because you're listening to me tell you this, the spiritual place that we are, we have a power to change many things if we do so. One day today, we all put hard knots like astronauts, like college, that we cared and loved something, focused on something.
You really think that massive spiritual intervention can stop what might be coming otherwise?
As much as I hate to admit this for the first time in my life, right now, I have to say yes. I was never, no one could have got me. I have felt, see, my own self is just a guy like here where 2 out of every 3 out of every 5 in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer. 1 out of every 3 will have breast cancer. I've been reading the statistics as I lie here facing us now. It's everybody I know. It was in the context of this healing institution, this chemistry place I'm in. To be able to put love back in here. And I see the importance of my hospice, but I see the importance of putting the spirituality and understanding the near-death experience and the dynamics of our energy bodies, how those energy bodies need to be touched and to be cared about. There's nothing to do with faith. We are powerful and mighty interconnected spiritual beings. We have greatness, we have destiny, and damn it, we have purpose. And we are connected, and I don't care what chemists say and scientists say because I'm coming out of it.
I've got a question for you, Daniel.
What?
I've got a question for you. Remember when you were struck by lightning?
No, Art, I just forgot that one out.
Yeah, no, all right. No, let me finish the sentence. When you were struck by lightning, you acquired a lot of psychic ability, really more than you wanted. You were hearing people and things crashing around you, literally. Hearing people's thoughts. And then you told me in the last interview we did that began to slowly fade over the years. And what I'm wondering is, and the reason I'm asking this is because the other day you said it came suddenly rushing back with what just happened to you over the last week or so. Is that right? It came rushing back?
Something's happening to me, Art. I mean, I'm not like being struck by lightning and the dramatics of what happened in colonial medicine and the lightning shaman story. But never, I was struck by lightning, that changed me. I was, through trauma, I had open heart surgery. I was close to that place again, but it was the love of people that felt like I had done something that contributed to their lives. That is the most amazing thing to me in my existence. That the kind of love that I have felt, the strengthening opened up to this trauma, like everybody thinks has the trauma. It opens up a whole different spiritual way for me to look at myself.
Maybe your brain starts doing something a little differently when it's facing the ultimate trauma, huh?
Art, I've been through all that brain stuff, doing stories and lightning. We are spiritual beings. What has occurred is I'm watching myself change. I'm moving into a different level of how I perceive. I'm perceiving more things, but it's of a different level. I can't say, hey, Art, I understand it right now. I can understand reading people's minds. I do this without any problem. Child's play. I'm looking at more dimensions of stuff that I don't really understand. I don't really understand them, but it's pretty wild to see that they exist in there and how wonderful it is. we must, as an Art Bell show, we must pick our subjects. We must plan our time. We must send our love and our power and our strength to surround and protect it and help it grow. And we must plan it, and we must do this because I've never seen the outpouring of love that I've ever felt in my life. People saying thank you for Dan for something you've done to help me. That one single part of it is the greatest transformation in people. It's opening up whole dimensions of people. But if we can do it for me, we can do it for each other.
I think you're right.
We can do it for each other. So, Art, don't listen. Just this one night, let your mind flow and realize that there's a great and wondrous spiritual world that we are all an integrated part of. We are interconnected in divinity.
Well, Daniel, you've got to be right, Daniel, because if you're...
I'm lying in this damn hospital bed, Art, with my brain stopped bleeding. I'm going to get up. I'm waiting for the blood clot to pass my heart so I don't slur my speech or make me stumble around. I have to get back up and start again in life, but with a deeper sense of commitment, a more devoted brotherhood to the people that listen to me, that I've helped in their lives, and that they return that love to me, and that it is changing me, and millions of people, there were hundreds of thousands of responses from everywhere are. If it was 10 people, they were packing it everywhere.
One more thing, when you get back up, it'll be with a slower schedule, Daniel.
Yes, Pastor.
A slower schedule.
But I can see how I can do it. So the other thing, Art, thanks for letting me talk, everybody, and thanks for just letting me look and do something other than this roof, because we must, without any question, take our practical spirituality, reincorporate it back in our lives, put it in the healthcare system. I know that Medicaid and Medicare was destroying it, and it had to go somewhere. Money for health for profit has to be something good because it's America. But these people are scared. They're blind with strokes and their families are in the halls. They are scared because they don't have the kind of love that you people send to me to this night, and that I know from being what I've been through, just that we are powerful spiritual beings. I know where to go and what to do with that because I've been having to deal with it for 22 years to stay alive. And they need us. We need to talk about it and educate and, I'm hearing into politics already. Let me come to air and I finally get to talk to somebody and the Access to Medical Treatment Act.
I know that means a lot to you.
It has got to be, from this bed, from where I'm looking at now, it has got to be one of the single most important pieces of legislation that we in our spiritual health body, we don't get access to medical treatment in alternative and compatible ways, which could be just added to this program here with me. Aromatherapy, colotherapy, the kinds of things that I have in this room. They make fun of all the crystals and everything I've got piled up in this room. A heart, and I take it to my chest, and I have this headset on all day long, and they come in and see my charts and see what I'm looking at, and they shake their head, but I'm still here.
Well, who cares what they think, Daniel?
Oh, I care because I want them to change.
Well, that's true from that point of view.
They're great doctors.
But I mean, right now, whatever saves your life is whatever saves your life. So
they're great chemists, Art,
yeah.
But they're not doctors. But we have to put that back in here. We have to.
All right, you're gonna, with luck, Daniel, maybe you're out of there, what, in a week?
Yeah. Just a look, if they can watch the class. But I'm out of here now. I'm out of here now. Getting to talk to everybody and tell them how much I thank you, and getting to talk to Art Bell and let him be the person that tells the world that it isn't fate what placebo does. It's loving of ourselves and loving someone else, and that love changes and opens up us all, and we have proven it. We can keep proving it and keep doing it.
All right, my friends, we gotta go. But Danny, get better than what you are. Don't see me. All right, we are going to do now. I got diverted there for about an hour, but we are going to do an Area 51 line. Now listen to me very closely because I know a lot of you don't listen. So listen to me. Attention, everybody. What is normally my first time caller line is now going to be an Area 51 employee singing line. You know that place that doesn't exist? I was telling somebody who happens to be in the studio with me right now, earlier tonight, that there is a VFW here in Pahrump, Nevada. And if you go up to that VFW about 4:30 in the morning, there will be a number of buses, unless, because I've talked about it, they've now changed it. I doubt it. I bet they're still there. Every morning about 4:30, 5 o'clock or so, and they're sitting there waiting for all these employees to go to Area 51. The funny thing is, right on the side of the buses, it says Area 51. It actually says Area 51. And one of these days, I'm going to go up there with a camera, and I'm going to take some pictures of those buses for you, and I'll put it up on the net. So anyway, we're going to be looking for people who either retired from Area 51 and can now talk, or people who presently work at Area 51 and wish to tell us what's going on up there, because we all have deep suspicions about what's happening there. So I'm just going to sort of open a line and see what happens. Now, we may not get any calls. I have no way of knowing. You know, when I open these lines, I have no way of knowing. It is, however, ringing. Now, whether it's ringing from somebody who actually was at Area 51, or it's ringing because somebody isn't listening to me right now saying, don't call that line, I have no way of knowing, but we will find out shortly. Okay. Dare I venture forth my Area 51 line? Sure I do. Let's see what we get. On my Area 51 line, you are on the air. Good evening.
Hello, Mr. Bell.
Hello there.
So good to hear you.
It's good to hear you too. Are you going to tell us from where you are calling, or would you rather keep that secret?
I cannot tell you.
Okay, well that makes sense.
But I can tell you who you can call in. It's actually my first name.
What is your first name?
Yes, you can call me Steve.
Steve.
Yes.
Figures.
Oh, by the way, I was not the guy who sent all the faxes about the suitcase bombs.
Okay,
I was not that guy.
not that Steve.
No.
All right. All right. Did you work, or do you work at Area 51?
I did, but more so to the point. I actually lived there for a time.
You live there.
Yes.
Well, I guess I guess that makes sense in a way, that a lot of people who live there either commute from Las Vegas or my little town of Pahrump, or they actually reside there, which I bet they love, because then you can't go talk to people.
Well, actually, when you say Area 51, do you mean only Groom Lake
Oh no.
or Papoose?
Oh no. I mean S4. I mean any of the interesting areas up there.
S4.
You worked at S4?
No, that's the area where I was living.
Oh my. Now S4 is where it is said they had the goodies.
Oh, yes. Yes, I haven't been ordered to discuss that.
I beg your pardon?
I've been ordered to discuss S4 tonight.
You've been ordered to discuss it?
Yes, they were aware of your show, and well, we knew it wasn't going to be on last night, so I just went to bed.
Oh my. Well, you know Bob Lazar, who lives in Las Vegas.
Very interesting man.
Yes, indeed. I've interviewed Bob Lazar.
Yes.
And he claims that there have been any number of saucers, actual saucers, recovered saucers, back engineered, that he was a part of that, and that they were flown out of S4. Can you confirm his story, for starters?
Yes, it happened. Before he was even there, at some point. There was occasion, but they were not meant to be flown in the air. That what you're seeing in the air is not coming from Area 51.
It is.
No, you know, like UFOs and all that. None of that's coming from Area
Area 51. Those things out there are broken. And the ones that he saw setting there are various states of disrepair. And the ones that he saw setting there, yes, they were various states of disrepair. And the ones that he saw setting there, junk. But if you've got junk like that, you're not going to take the landfill. Makes sense, right?
No, you're not.
So you gotta just kind of leave it sitting.
When you say junk, we should qualify that. Extraterrestrial junk?
What would you call extraterrestrial?
Something not of Earth origin?
Would Earth in a parallel timeline do?
You bet it would.
Would that qualify as extraterrestrial?
You're damn right. In my mind, it would. In other words, it certainly is in the realm of the paranormal. So what you're telling me is that what's up there came not from another physical place, but another dimension parallel to ours.
Yes and no. It's both. The triangular objects were hand-me-downs that were no longer needed, and they were given to the people in the other timeline, who then turned against the people that originally gave them to them.
You're saying you were ordered to come and say all this tonight?
Yes.
Why?
Because it is, yesterday was September 11th. It is September 11th on your time.
It is still now September 11th, my time, yes.
It is the day that the Mars Surveyor enters the orbital phase of its mission.
You're exactly right. They have fired the slowing rockets, and I understand they have done that successfully, they believe. And this craft will go into a polar orbit around Mars, slowly mapping the entire planet.
It will be finished in March of the year 1998.
Uh-huh.
And
what do you think they'll find?
I already know what they're going to find.
Well, then that makes you a doubly valuable person. What? Pray tell.
Okay. As they come down from the pole, at first they're going to be mapping an area that originally had a lot of water. So what would you see if you drained the ocean? You know, a lot of dried up area.
Silt, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's all solid rock, obviously, baked by the sun and all that. When you get down to latitude about 40 degrees north of the Martian equator, you're going to see some pretty interesting things, actually.
Like what?
The Cydonia region.
Yes.
The Cydonia region has a counterpart region, and they're going to find that this time.
Really?
Yes.
Now, when you speak of Cydonia, you speak of the face on Mars and
the city and the rail launcher and
all that stuff.
Yeah, the rail launcher is most interesting to me.
How rail launcher?
The rail launcher.
That's a gun.
No. The rail launcher is a shuttle-type vehicle that was abandoned, and it's sitting on this rail inside a fortress.
A fortress.
A fortress.
This is a lot of the kind of stuff that David Oates talked about when he reversed the speech of the NASA guys.
Oh, yes.
So you're saying all of that is true?
Yes, but they remember all that comes from what they were thinking subconsciously, more or less. And it could get jumbled together. I'm not very familiar with that. I just heard it in passing at the time. But I don't recall that exactly.
Why would your bosses want this information out?
Because of what's about to happen next year.
What, pray tell?
There's going to be some, how should we say, major, extreme revelations next year. And everything's got to be in place for that happens. Meanwhile, pressure is building. By pressure, I mean order to throw it all out on the table right now. And I'm one that don't think it's appropriate at this time.
You personally do?
No, I mean all of it right now. I'm all for the 98 thing.
So you're sort of dribbling information out to get people prepared?
Yes, but my greatest concern is they won't be prepared enough. And I'm troubled by what's happening.
You want to lay out your cards? I mean, what's going to happen?
You mean 1998?
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, more of the same, more dribbling, as you call it, for starters. But then, of course, you mean the main material.
Main event, yes, sir.
Ultimately.
You bet.
Well, now that would take place on, what date would that be? I got it. I got a book over here. It's got it all laid out. You don't mind me getting here?
I don't mind a bit. You go right ahead.
Just a second.
All right. We're talking to a current Area 51 employee, he says, and there's a book that lays out what's going to occur, and he's talking about
Okay, I
1998.
got it.
All right, and then in 1998, you said you've got a date. Here the page is turning.
Yep, got it. July 20th, 1998.
Oh, Richard Hoagland's going to like that. July 20th.
Richard Hoagland.
Yeah. That's an important date with Richard.
Oh, I remember now. Yes, it was. But I'm not sure that he knows about what really happened in 1986. I wonder if he could call in and we could ask him if he knows what happened on that day in 1986. That's
Well,
part of the main.
All right, but right now, I want to know what's going to happen on July 20th, 1998. So does everybody.
Okay, right on. In 1998, on that day, everything is going to be revealed about what happened on July 20th, 1986 to July 26th, 1986, and how that relates to what is going on right now with the Mars material.
All right, then, if we must, let us back up. July of 1986. What occurred then, please?
The culmination of the original plan, and we are currently in the 12th year of the new plan now.
What plan?
What plan?
Whose plan?
Whose plan? The Supreme Commandant.
The Supreme Commandant?
Sound familiar?
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
The Supreme Commandant.
That should be ringing some bells. No pun intended.
Thank you.
This is September the 11th. Okay. Anyway, the point is that, do you recall any certain caller who might have called you on the Saturday morning, August 9th, during the night where you had the so-called MIB line?
Yes, I remember the MIB line, certainly. And as a matter of fact, during the course of this very conversation we're having right now, I'm wondering why Matt Black aren't moving in on you.
Oh, they can.
Huh. Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That sounds to me like the soldier in the foxhole says they'll, everybody around me might die, but I'm not.
Well, I've been in a few foxholes myself, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, it's that kind of psychology. What do you mean they can't get to you?
Because I tell them what to do.
You're that high in the food chain.
Well, unfortunately, it is a food chain, yes. Unfortunately for me, I occasionally learn the hard way. Since I did call you on that morning. I don't know if you recall or not.
Listen, these beings, are they as we are, or are they different? Do they look to be extraterrestrial in origin, even though they're
Area 51 or in general or both?
Well, you said they're extra-dimensional, not extraterrestrial. So do they appear to be extraterrestrial, or do they appear exactly as we do in form?
Okay, this is hard to explain, but there's two levels. One level is, if you knew what to look for, yeah, you could tell the difference easily. But if you say, so-and-so, just pass them, you'd never know.
So they could be wandering around in our streets now, ETs, and I've seen.
Well, a few more than they used to be. There's about...
How about if I call them EDs? Extra-dimensionals.
Yeah, but see, if you could grill one of them, let's say you had a best case scenario, you had a hypnotized, sodium pentothal, reverse speech, everything. And you got everything out of them. You would never find out who was giving them the orders. It's not me, by the way. Because they're getting programs from a planet in this timeline in space.
Why are you revealing all of this now?
Because of the amount of material that's going to be revealed next year would be unintelligible unless this was here.
Lay it out first.
Right. In other words, I could talk for 10 hours and we would have ships at the edge of the iceberg. That's just an example.
What is the purpose then of Area 51?
Now it's got different.
I'm sorry, S4 or whatever you want to call it. In other words, what is the main?
Chief reason.
Yeah.
Now or in the past or both?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
In the beginning, it was simply to develop new weapons America needed needed new weapons to counter the Soviet threat.
Right.
The reason, you ready? You holding on to your seat for this one? I don't think anybody knows this one.
Yes.
Okay, everybody in the Pentagon better hold on to their seat for this, and they're going to be hopping mad. The people from a planet called Lanulos.
Lanulos.
I think you heard that before. They came here, and after World War II, they told the Soviets, better look out, the Americans are coming at you. Then they come to the Americans and tell them, you better look out, the Soviets are coming at you. Then they go to the Soviets and tell them, here's the kind of missiles you're going to need. And then they go to the Americans and say, you better get ready, here they come, here are the kind of missiles you're going to need. We'll give you advice on what to build with your own technology.
Sounds like they were promoting the idea of war.
Oh no, they knew the outcome. You know, you can use primitive computer projections now to get some idea of some things. And they use computer projections of an advanced kind to determine the best possible outcome. And that they control the situation where you have a standoff. They needed desperately to have a Cold War standoff for 40 years. That was the plan.
Why?
To duplicate a precise same event that happened 3 times 19.5 centuries earlier on Atlantis.
Atlantis.
Atlantis
that was destroyed because there was no intervention, or what?
Oh, there could not be any intervention then. Because there was no one in space. No one had traveled. Oh, yes, this would be an appropriate time to explain something. No, there is no intelligent life that evolved anywhere in the universe except on Earth.
I've thought that myself. And even wondered about this planet.
Yeah, me too. Especially in the last 50 years. And a parallel universe, ditto. In other words, for every parallel dimension for a timeline, you have only Earth evolving intelligent life.
All right, listen, I have only about a minute left. So quickly sum up or say whatever you would like to say to everybody out there about where you were.
Area 51, main purpose is to basically build weapons, but it was taken over in 1986. It was taken over by the people from Lanulos. And when they took it over, that's when I came in there. I was put in there to supervise what was going on.
All right. Well, I said no future employees of Area 51, but this guy tripped me up. He's on the line now, and I can tell you're like in a vehicle of some kind.
Yes, I'm driving a truck right now because I'm making a historical study of life in the 20th century. And there's really no better way to study it than getting out there and seeing it and experiencing it.
So you're sort of slumming in the 20th, huh?
There you go. Actually, I'm from the 21st century, or the 21st century, the year 2072, and I worked at Area 51, or I guess you would say I will work at Area 51, which at that time is the nation's capital. There's a series of catastrophes that will occur, and I don't want to create a paradox by saying too much, but some events occur around the turn of the century in the eastern part of the country. Things happen where the government of the United States has to relocate.
Now, bear in mind that you're on the air right now in Washington, D.C. on WWRC. I mean, they're all listening to you, so...
Yes, that's why I have to be very careful.
Please be very careful, yes. So you're saying around the turn of the century, around 2000, something is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't want to get into any more than that, but I worked as an aide for the Office of the President at Area 51. And in that time, in 2072, the reason Area 51 was picked to be the capital of the United States, and for that matter, basically a one world government is set up with the United States leading that effort.
Oh, good.
By that time, there will be no question of life throughout the universe. In fact, there'll be several races of aliens living with us. I can't get into much more detail than that. But
let me ask you a question. How far can you go? We all know what a paradox is. You know, going back and killing your father, if time travel were possible, would suddenly negate you, at least in one timeline. how far can you go in telling us things without creating a paradox, something that will shift what otherwise would occur in a timeline?
Well, I can't actually alter events. For example, if I come back now and I know if I invest in a certain thing in the stock market and become a huge multi-millionaire,
Yes.
when that individual who I am now didn't, according to my current history,
You would have changed things radically.
right. And so I have to be very careful. And now, speaking in general terms, like I'm doing to you over the air,
So then we can safely assume Bill Gates is not a time traveler?
Bill Gates is not a time traveler.
Okay.
Bill Gates is Bill Gates, and
Got his money honestly in this timeline.
yeah, he honestly got it in this timeline. So there's some interesting things about Bill Gates. Without going into detail, expect Bill Gates to enter politics before too long.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I figured it was.
Now, is that something that could potentially? I mean, you must be on the gray line there regarding a paradox.
Well, I am, but here's the beauty of it. When I'm on the phone with you talking, it's subjective. It's people's opinion. So what I really say is real subjective. Some people might believe it, some people won't. So I'm fairly safe in making general statements like that because probably a lot of people aren't going to believe it anyway.
That's right. And so let me ask you this: is there something minor but very specific that you can give us that's going to happen in the near-term future that we can watch for and say, aha, the guy from 2072 called it?
Yeah, we're going to have probably about March of this coming winter,
Yes.
Southern California and Arizona are going to suffer severe flooding as a result of the El Nino that's building. And in 1999, the winter of 1999, there's going to be a major devastating earthquake in Southern California.
Wait a minute, that was the winter of '99?
The winter of 1999.
How big will it be? You know?
From the history books I've read, it was about an 8.9 on the Richter scale.
My.
But I'm not, I can't give out numbers because we really don't know. There was just estimate numbers of deaths and injuries.
Did you get here using a physical time machine, or did you come through some sort of wormhole? In other words, by what means did you come to this time and why?
Okay, there are things around the planet that people now are calling vortexes or vortices,
Right.
such as in Sedona and a few places in California. By the year 2055, there's been a major breakthrough explaining these forces, and mankind has learned how to use those for time travel, both going forward and going past.
Well, now that is very interesting because I interviewed a very well-respected physicist named Michio Kaku not long ago who said that is exactly the way we would learn to travel in time.
Yes, and it worked out very well. And you don't have to have the equipment at your destination. Now, when I left in 2072, there's equipment set up at these vortices in Sedona and other places around the world. Now, when I go through that and come to this time, I just pop out in the middle of the desert, and in the case of Sedona.
I've always wondered about that. How are you able to be sure that you don't pop here inside a mountain or a building or concrete or something awful like that?
Well, because we can go back to maps of the 20th century, and actually even earlier than that. We've got archives on computer disks. We cannot pop out. So we do use computers, so it'll blow your mind the media that we used at that time.
No, it wouldn't blow my mind at all. You buy a computer today and it's out of date now about 3 or 4 months ago.
All I can say is virtual reality is only the beginning.
So it's going to be an interesting time, and there's going to be a gigantic event around the turn of the century, a serious event.
Yeah, the turn of the century is going to be rough, but mankind makes it through it. We do have some assistance from how shall I say, elsewhere.
Elsewhere, others.
Yes. And after that event, things like racism, those kind of issues will no longer be around, because not only will we have to learn to live with people of different color, we're going to have to learn to live with beings who are not human. And this event, these series of events that occur around the turn of the century, is kind of a purging or a cleansing event. And the people that make it through that become a better species of people.
Are you going to stay and go through this period with us, or when things get rough, are you going to get going?
I got to be honest with you, Art. I'm out of here. I'm going to be a chicken and run. I'm not going to stay and go through that with you.
Would it be possible for somebody like myself, for example, who wants to avoid what's coming, to get a ticket to ride, so to speak, with you?
No, because there again, then you come up with a paradox issue.
Paradox.
You have a certain destiny you're meant to fulfill, and if you leave prematurely, that creates a paradox.
I understand.
But there are certain people that can leave.
Let me see if I can ask this.
Okay.
Do you know offhand whether I make it?
I can't answer that, because that might alter
Paradox.
the way you live your life.
I got it. All right. Well, you've been a very, very interesting caller, and I hope you will call again.
I will do so.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care. There is a future Area 51 employer, present employee, present time traveler. All right. He sounded pretty good, huh? I've got to give him a good 7 or 8. Maybe even better than an 8 on a scale of 10. What do you think? East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning. Hello there.
Yes, hello.
Turn your radio off, please. It's the first thing you got to do when you get on the air.
I got it.
All right, good. Where are you?
Boynton Beach, Florida.
Okay. Glad to have you.
This Art?
It is.
Oh, I'm sorry, Art. No, I was just listening. I just got on my computer, and I'm listening to your show right now. It's through the computer.
Okay.
And you guys are talking about Area 51. I grew up in Morocco. I don't know if you ever heard of Morocco, North Africa, and I spent 16 years over there with my parents.
I'm going to North Africa next month.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Right. I saw that on your webpage. But anyway, there's a place called Kenitra, which was a United States U.S. Navy base, and at the time, from 1961 until 1970, it was a United States Navy base. But after that, because Congress discovered that this base was there, they decided to shut it down. And the United States government never did. They kept it going, and basically what they did, they just turned it over to the Royal Air Force. But the base in Kenitra had a bunch of satellite dishes. And I'm talking like, if you saw the movie Contact.
I did. God, I love that movie.
You're talking about dishes that were lined up. Probably, I would probably say about 30 dishes. That's in Morocco, Kenitra.
Well, when you do that, what you saw in Contact was accurate. In other words, you can put up a field of dishes, and each one gives you about a 3 dB gain and it creates a narrower beam width. So you can listen to more distant, weaker signals. That's how it works. And Contact was accurate in that regard.
Okay. But not only was there about 30 dishes in Kenitra, there's another town which is like a little village, and it was probably about 60 miles away from Kenitra. Kenitra is going to Rabat, Morocco. It's called City Yaya, and they had another 30 dishes there. Now, why would the United States government or the United States Navy have all these dishes? They did, at one point, my father was telling me back in 1970 during the Apollo missions, that these dishes relayed the Apollo missions.
Well, that would be definitely one use.
That's one use, but what's the other use?
Listening.
The dishes in Morocco.
Listening for whatever might be out there, just as they did in Contact. And as SETI now does. You remember in contact they were using the one at Arecibo.
Right, I remember that. But the base right now, it's actually still in operation under the Moroccan government. But there are Americans there.
Okay, so what is it you're telling us? That our American government is still in Morocco doing something that relates to deep space?
Deep space. And my father's retired now. But he's telling me this, and I do know that because I was talking to, I don't know if you remember at the time, it was Alexander Haig. He was the Supreme Commander of NATO back in 1981, if I'm correct.
That's the, I'm in charge now at the White House, Alexander Haig, right?
Yes, that's the guy.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, because they had closed the base back in 1978, he was talking to my father, asking him to go back to Kenitra and see if we, whatever, I really am not sure, I guess I'm not privy to that conversation, but it was very interesting, and I was thinking of Area 51 being in something so secretive, and Congress did not know about the base, and it's still run by the American military in North Africa, Morocco.
You're raising a very good point. Thank you very much for the call. In other words, it may well be that Area 51, the one adjacent to me, just over the mountain from me, is not the only place that we're doing this sort of thing. And Africa would be a really spiffy place when you think about it, to do something very secret. Because there are large open areas that could be closed off easily. And there wouldn't be a whole lot of tourist travel in those areas. Very interesting point. And our government may have secret things going on around the world, not just here. Fascinating. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Where are you?
This is Boris, and I'm in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Just over the hill.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. I'm a first-time caller. I finally got through.
Sound like you're out of breath.
Yeah. But I figured out how to get through. My clues was Mr. Fidget gave me.
Well, all right, you're through. So what's on your mind?
Oh, well, actually, I guess the Mars Pathfinder mission.
Indeed, Pathfinder has just, I guess, or is just now going into orbit.
That's the little observer. Yeah.
Mars Observer.
Yeah,
you're talking. I'm sorry, you're talking about Pathfinder, the little bug that runs around up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is you got to say about it?
Well, yeah, I've been doing some of my own investigation by basically downloading the whole Mars Pathfinder site.
Well, as you know, Richard Hoagland has seen everything from gyroscopes to bazookas to 105mm cannons to all kinds of things on Mars.
Yeah.
What have you seen?
Well, I've definitely seen a lot of paranormal shaped things, and looking at the pictures Richard Hoagland has put on his website, I found some other similar pictures to that.
So you're essentially backing up what Richard says.
Yeah, and
He's actually landed right in the middle of a debris field, essentially, of previous civilization.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it looks like it.
You know, there are a lot of people who think that we're Martians. That the Martians, don't laugh, but the Martians that on Mars, when their atmosphere was destroyed or potentially was about to be destroyed, there was once one there with water on Mars, and water means life. That somehow somebody or something got on the planet and in fact seeded Earth.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I sort of believe in multiple timelines.
You too, huh?
And
Did you hear my time caller a minute ago?
Yes, I heard your time caller.
And on a scale of 10, what did you think of his credibility?
Comes to my mind. So why?
Only a 6. I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was sleepy.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, well, listen, thank you very much for the call from Las Vegas. Not a lot of time from the top of the hour. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello? No, you're not. That person just missed it. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
CT in San Mateo, California.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's for positive
suddenly be able to get along with others. I can't imagine what that would be.
Imagine the enormity of an event like that. And us from the school,
Nobody cooperated when Rodney King asked that we all get out. So
I'm from the school that believes that the races that we have here on this planet are from other planets, and we don't get along. So that's my assumption for tonight.
wait a minute. Where are you coming from, by the way? I always thought that if a saucer came down, little green guys got off and started down the ring. Before they got to the bottom of the ring, they would be so full of lead, they wouldn't be able to walk.
I can't see why they would want to come here. People from the technical.
No, but you look down at the present relationship between the races and so forth under it and say, let's skip this one, folks. In my studio, if anybody out there can guess who it is before the show ends, you'll win some sort of cheap prize. Now, how are you going to guess? Well, you can actually see him on the studio cam. We've got a studio cam. And every now and then he clicks a picture.
Thank you for joining the stream.
So you might get a look if you do try and guess who it is. Hey, the series are rarely